Hey everyone, welcome back to Roads Less Traveled. I'm Matt, Madison's dad. Last week, she showed you guys how she loves to cook spaghetti, and since it's Super Bowl Sunday today, I thought it would be a great idea to put a video together for you guys to show you my process for smoking ribs. So barbecue is one of my favorite things to do, and I was recently watching some videos on YouTube and saw a great recipe by Malcolm Reed over at Killer Hogs BBQ, where he did his take on some spicy hot honey ribs, and I thought we would do our own variation of that today. All right, so once you get your ribs out of the package, I like to just look over them and just make sure that I feel for any loose fragments of like bone or anything that you definitely don't want to be eating. So usually it's good to just rub your hands across it. Usually we'll feel something poking out. And if you feel something, definitely make sure you take care of it. And as you kind of look on both sides, you want to make note of any loose pieces of meat, anything that you want to kind of take off. As you kind of trim these up, you want them to cook uniform, and anything that you put on your smoker, if you wouldn't eat it, take it off basically. So I like to just use, this is actually a knife that I got at a sporting goods store. It's for filleting fish, but it works really well for trimming up meat, whether it's ribs or brisket. Even works really well with chicken, but I'm gonna just kind of cut off some of this loose meat. Be careful, obviously. Have a sharp knife, and you wanna kind of just trim this up, make it look good and presentable. And I kind of like to remove the end pieces here where the meat's just not really, it's a lot of fat and a lot of just young tissue, and kind of square the ends of these ribs up so that they cook better. I think one thing we'll also do is take the membranes off the back here, and after we do that, the next step is going to be to get them seasoned up. We've got our ribs trimmed up, got all of the excess fat off that we didn't want to leave on, and the next step is to get the membranes off the back. So really, the simplest way to get this off, in my opinion, is to just grab a regular butter knife and kind of work it up underneath the membrane here. I like to start somewhere in the center and in between two of the rib bones, and just kind of work it towards the other side of the rib. And once you get there, you can kind of just lift and start to separate that membrane a little bit. It's on there pretty tight, but you kind of just work it back and forth, and eventually you can get that to separate. The thing about doing it in the middle is you kind of can take your hands and get it underneath and kind of use that as a little bit of leverage, but it breaks a lot of times, and when that happens, a little piece of paper towel will definitely help you out here, because these membranes are really slippery. So just take that piece of paper towel, and you can see how easy that peels off, and then get another piece here, and crazy. Just peel this off the other side. And once you have your membranes pulled off, your next step is to start seasoning. All right, so our next step, now that we have the membranes off, is to apply a binder. And today we're going to use Frank's Red Hot. And we're also going to use, for our rub today, the Killer Hogs Hot BBQ Rub. So I did move from the cutting board over to a chafing dish, just so that we can kind of contain the mess a little bit, because I like to apply a lot of rub. I like to make a huge mess, and my wife doesn't like that too much. All right, we've got the Frank's Red Hot. I'm going to go ahead and apply this on both sides of the ribs. Just need a little bit of moisture here to serve as that binder, and kind of rub this in on both sides. And then we will follow that up with the barbecue rub. All right, so still making a mess. That's okay. All right, and I like to start adding my rub on the back side first. That way the top side looks the best, so you're not having to flip it over a lot. But again, we're using that Killer Hogs Hot BBQ Rub, and honestly, you can apply as much of this as you really want. This has really great flavor, and it adds some amazing color. This is one of my favorite barbecue rubs, and I use it on just about everything. Especially good on pork and chicken. But once you get that backside, you can go ahead and flip it over. And then you can start working on your top side. Again, apply very, very liberally. Get a nice coating of this. And just let that start sitting on the ribs. Start getting nice and happy. I'm gonna let this sit out for about 10 or 15 minutes before we put these on the smoker. Kind of let those flavors come together. The meat will start to actually sweat, and you'll start to see moisture come up on these ribs, and that's when you know it's ready to go in the smoker. All right, so the rub has started to get tacky on top of these ribs, and we're ready to get them on the smoker. So today I'm cooking on my Pit Boss. This is going to be set at about 225 degrees. We're going to run this for 2 to 3 hours. We'll keep an eye on them. Probably spritz once or twice on the first part of the initial cook. And then ultimately we're going to wrap these up to get them the rest of the way there. So these ribs looking absolutely beautiful. I'm going to get these on the smoker, and I like to kind of bunch them up just a little bit, kind of straighten them up, because the way they look on the smoker is how they're going to cook, and I really want these ribs to look great for you guys. Perfect. We'll see. All right, the ribs have been on for about an hour and a half. They're looking really good. Color looks great on them. The bark is starting to set. So I think now would be a good time to go ahead and take this mixture of apple juice, a little bit of water, and some hot sauce, and go ahead and get these sprayed down. Those look fantastic. So about another hour, and I think they'll be ready to wrap. Ribs have been on for about 3 hours now, so let's go ahead and take a peek at them. Looking really good. I think it's time that we take these in to get them wrapped. All right, so to wrap these ribs up, I've got 4 sheets of heavy duty aluminum foil. I've got a little bit of brown sugar. I've got Mike's hot honey, some squeeze butter, and of course that killer Hogs Hot BBQ Rub. So first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and put a little bit of this butter down. I'm going to lay these ribs meat side down. So I'm going to go ahead and start building some of these layers up here. Add in this brown sugar. Nice amount of this hot honey. Yeah, it's looking good. And then I'm also going to add a little bit more of our hot barbecue rub. I'm going to take this rack, lay it right down over top. I'm going to repeat the same step on the back side. A little bit of brown sugar, a little bit more of this butter, some of this hot honey, some more of our barbecue. The next step is to wrap these up. Hold this over here. Two layers. Hold this nice and tight so we lock in all of that moisture and all those extra butter that we added and brown sugar and that honey. Make a nice little tight package here, and these will go back on the smoker for about another hour and a half, and we'll check for tenderness along the way. All right, so we're back outside at the smoker now. We've got these ribs done nice and tight. We're gonna put these back on the smoker for another hour and a half. We'll check them a couple of times throughout the process. are gonna be real good. All right, so it's been about another hour and a half. Let's check on these ribs. All right, so I can tell by the feel these are ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in a pan. Then we're gonna take them in the house. We're gonna open them up, kind of get the steam off of them, let them rest for a few minutes, and we're gonna go ahead and put some sauce and put a glaze on them, put them back on the smoker for about another 15 minutes, and they should be ready to eat. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the foil off of these ribs and take a look and see what we got. Some of the steam off. It's looking real good, guys. So it's looking real good. So we're gonna go ahead and get these on the board, and then we are going to add the glaze in here. I just took a little bit of that Mike's Hot Honey, mixed in these two of my favorite barbecue sauces from Killer Hogs. You got the vinegar sauce, and you got the barbecue sauce. I like to mix those together, put that in a measuring cup here. And I'll actually add a little bit of the sauce that was created when we put the ribs on the smoker with the brown sugar and the butter, and add that, reconstitute it into the barbecue sauce mixture. Then we'll put that on as our glaze. All right, so I'm just gonna pour some of this liquid, this glaze, right over top. We'll brush it on to make it look real good. And then right over top, we're gonna add a little bit more of that hot barbecue rub. And then we'll get these back on the smoker for about another half hour, maybe 45 minutes to let these finish up. All right, so we're back out here at the smoker. These ribs are looking great. I got that glaze on them. We're gonna continue to run these at right around 250 degrees. Like I said, probably for another 45 minutes to get these super tender. Perfect for that fall off the bone game day rib. All right, so these ribs have been on the smoker now for right at 6 hours. Let's take a look at these. Yeah, they're looking really good. Nice and flexible. They're gonna be tender. Got some nice pull back on the bones here. The glaze is set really well. We're gonna take these in, get these on the cutting board, let them rest for a little bit, and they'll be ready to cut for this Super Bowl party. So while these are resting, we're gonna hit it with some of this Mike's Hot Honey. Let this sit on there and get nice and sticky while these things rest, and these will be ready to cut. All right, so these have been sitting for a little while. We got a little bit of sauce on these mixed in with that hot honey. So let's go ahead and cut one of these up and give them a taste. And I'm excited about these. Cut nice and tender. This is gonna be super good. Look at that, got a beautiful smoke ring on there. Let's go ahead and take a bite. Perfect, just how you want it. Comes off the bone clean. Perfect game day rib. Flavor, that hot honey coming through. Got a little bit of kick to it. This is gonna be good. See you guys next time.